It's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and today I'm going to talk about a really touchy subject. It's Sunday morning at 8:30, and there's a reason I'm doing this at this extremely awkward hour. Is last night I went to a restaurant in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin, about 30 minutes south of where my wife and I live. And my wife and I love to go watch basketball games during the NCAA tourney. And we were there and we were certainly having some um, fun watching the games and watching young athletes hustle and bust their butt. And something really hit me at that moment, and it was so interesting. The last probably 12 to 16 hours, something's really hit me. Now, before I get into it, let me create a disclaimer. Before I start getting nasty emails, I'm going to hit some really touchy subjects. I in no way am discounting people's mental health, depression, or anxiety driven issues. I am not addressing those. People who medically have been diagnosed with depression or anxiety and having, really tough times working with healthcare physicians, this is not what I'm addressing. What I am going to address are people who grab those things for their own good, give themselves permission to not put in a good day's work. Let me add some context. So during the games last night, we had a young man waiting on us who was fantastic. The rest of the staff was subpar. And I noticed something that after every time they served somebody, they would get in clusters and start talking to each other. And I sat there and I love to do this, and it drives my wife nuts. Is I love to just sit there and observe. So I get a pen and I start doing slash marks. And in 1 hour, I counted the number of times they got together in clusters to talk socially because they're right in front of us. We're at that part of the bar where all the equipment and stuff was, and where they placed the orders that went out to the rest of the restaurant. And I count the number of times they served people. In 1 hour, they had more social clusters than they did the times they served customers. So, as we were sitting there, there was a gentleman to my right, I believe with his wife, and all of a sudden, this one lady walked by, and all of a sudden, he goes, "Hello, hello," and she just stopped and looked at him, and he said, "Are you guys waiting on people?" And I was ready to, insert myself because it was pretty obnoxious what he did. And then all of a sudden, the person goes, "What can I do to help you?" He said, "Well, we'd love to get, and I think they got some ice cream sundae, and they brought it to him. No spoon." The woman says, I believe his wife, "Hey, do you have a couple spoons we could use?" And I bet you it took 20 minutes to get them spoons. So all of a sudden, a person comes up with a napkin with a fork and a knife wrapped in it. And I'm just like, this guy's going to just blow his gasket. He goes, "There's not a spoon in there." And he actually was really good about it. And then all of a sudden, they asked another person. They went and turned around, grabbed a napkin with a knife and fork, and put another one down. He said, "There's not a spoon in there." "Oh, you need a spoon." And he looks down at the sundae and looks up at her, looks down, looks up, and she just stared at him. Just no attentiveness. You know what we don't talk about anymore? We don't talk about hustle. We don't talk about getting up and getting after it. Now, people who are struggling with mental health, anxiety, and depression, I'm going to put those people off to the side, not dismissively. I'm putting them off to the side because I'm not addressing them. I don't want nasty emails or comments like, "Well, you got to understand people have mental health." I understand that. What I don't understand is people who don't, why they don't work hard. At the end of the day, money coming in has to be greater than money going out. That's how a business runs. Nonprofits, money raised has to be greater than money going out. The fact of the matter is, we don't talk about hustle. We don't talk about resilience. We don't talk about companies that need to make money. Okay? We cannot exist unless we have money coming in. It just doesn't work. We don't talk about resilience. So let me go back over 20, gosh, I bet you 20 years ago at a company called Evinrude Johnson, BRP. I come in there and we have a manager of this whole area, and he ended up getting laid off. Really good guy. And there was no manager in this huge call center. So our company was the outsourced manager, which was weird because I was really the company. And there were acknowledgments of layoffs, and people were nervous, and I hated it. And I'm thinking, why am I here? I don't work here. I shouldn't be here if these people are going to lose their jobs. And keep in mind, no manager. And we had sales, customer support, and tech support. And what we ended up doing is we didn't have time for tactical training, tactical sales coaching. We didn't have time for it. They had to be on the phones. Now, the history of this organization or these departments were we were there to take product numbers, order numbers, and just place orders. Now we were asking them to upsell and cross sell. Huge change. Boating industry is down. Okay. So what we ended up doing is we started to focus on hustle. And we said, look, guys, ladies, we got to get after it. We're going to ask you to do some crazy things. Yes, there are rumors of layoffs. The way you protect yourself from a layoff isn't to defend your turf, is to show the management why we shouldn't have layoffs in our area. You can talk and play the role of victim and be jaded and look what management did to me. Oh my gosh, guess what? It's tough to be in those positions when numbers don't add up. So at this time, engine sales were tremendously down. We were in the parts and accessory. So we did something. Now you're going to probably say into your mind, well, literally, I couldn't do that today. We're all virtual. This is not a literal representation of what to do. This is context to what is possible when we hustle. So what we did is we had breaks in the morning. Everybody would make calls, and people would start to do this before their phone calls. And we would make them do 10 phone claps before they do phone calls. And then they would get up and they would have speed walking. They would imitate fast walkers, and people's blood would get pumping. And then when you saw someone in the hallway, the people would high five each other. The person with the most high fives got a free lunch. And if we hit a certain goal, Tom Wally, who was a phenomenal leader, and I would have to wait on them at lunch and bring them lunch and sodas, and we gave them bells. Laughter's a lot of fun too. And our numbers went up, and I still remember the numbers 20 some years later, 22, 31, and 74. People like Trish and Kelly, and I think it was Lucy and Jack and Amy, they were superstars when we got done, not because of us. But when you get people hustling, good things will happen. People feel better. Now, you might be saying, well, wait a minute, Tim, we're in an office setting. We can't physically hustle. Yes, you can. Get people moving. Motion creates emotion. I mean, just think about right now. Do it with me. You do this 5 times. You look like a lunatic, but man, you feel different. We have to have counteractions to the way we're feeling. If we have people saying, God, I'm really feeling exhausted. I'm really feeling depressed. I'm really feeling anxious. And let's say they haven't been clinically diagnosed. So let's push those people off to the side because that's important stuff. I'm not referencing that. But last night, what I saw was a group of people socializing. The amazing thing is we walked out, I could hear 2 people say, oh, my shift's over. That was a long shift. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. You got paid to socialize. If I was the owner, I would have gone ballistic. See, money coming in has to equal or be greater than money going out. Sounds dumb, right? You know that. But do we talk enough about resilient? Do we talk about how we need to make money? Do we talk about people's self-awareness of what they need to do to raise their game? That's the key that we need to have. That's the key that we need to do to raise our game. And I know what we need to do is really get in a position where we can raise our game, do things that we need to. Go above and beyond the call of duty. Now, I'm going to keep this session today short. I want your feedback. We need to raise our game. We need to get people moving and hustling. There's a lot of people who are misrepresenting mental health and anxiety when they don't have it, and they're telling their boss, I'm having anxiety. The last week I've had 3 clients say, oh, by the way, we've caught people saying they're struggling with anxiety only to find out they went on trips or they were socializing or what have you. That's a misuse of money, company money. We need to get back to a good day's work, and we need to get back to, we got to hustle. We've got to hustle. Let's hustle, people. So I'm going to keep this short today. I'm going to keep it really short. So I want you to think about at your company, inserting the word hustle, resilient, we're making money. And I tell my employees all the time, all the time. We're lucky to have what we have. We have great clients. We have wonderful clients. Now, let me add a little context to it. Your country's getting invaded. And I love Restream is partnering with Ukraine. Can you imagine telling those people, just relax. I know times are stressful. Just just sit in your house. Things will get better. Now I know that's out of context for the workplace. I get it. Get after it. Get your people hustling. Ask them, what are you going to do to hustle? What are you going to do to be resilient? The company's making money. How does that benefit you? See, we separate things. Employees often look at leaders and owners and say, well, you're making all this money. Yeah, we took all the risk. And by the way, if we're making money, you keep a job. You get to prosper. You get to grow. We get to invest in you. Now, if you're at a company who doesn't do those things, then go find another job. Yet hustle. If you hustle and you're resilient, you will separate yourself. Here's my prediction. In the next 1 or 2 years, people are going to go into interviews and someone's going to say, what have you been doing the last 2 years? 1 or 2 employees are going to answer. One, somebody's saying, well, I took some time off. It was really tough for me. I had to take some time off and get my head together. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then the second candidate's going to say, you know what? I fought through. I was resilient. I hustled. I found a way to overcome. Guess what's going to happen? The second person's going to get hired. Let me know your context. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks, everybody.